This intersection in South Minneapolis, where former officer Derek Chauvin knelt on George Floyd's neck for more than 9 minutes, killing him. Since that night, more than 3 years ago, it's become a memorial and a place known around the world. Reporter Ben Henry went back there tonight and found hope for the future.
It's been a while since Jacqueline Hodrick's family's last visit to George Floyd Square.
When it first happened 3 years ago, I came down 2 weeks later and there was just an aura here. You know, I felt like his spirit was still here.
Here on the corner of 38th and Chicago Avenue, the family spent time honoring the impact Floyd's murder has had.
The truth has came out.
Hodrick is talking about the findings of a 2-year Department of Justice investigation into the Minneapolis Police Department.
As I told George Floyd's family this morning, his death has had an irrevocable impact on the Minneapolis community, on our country, and on the world.
U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland accusing the MPD of engaging in a pattern of racist and abusive behavior that violated people's constitutional rights.
It's nice that they're actually coming to a conclusion and rectifying what needs to be fixed.
It's an important day for generations of the Fallah family.
It was really important for our family to actually experience this, especially the young ones, in light of what happened, and make them aware of what's going on.
But there are still feelings of sorrow here in South Minneapolis. Tricia McLennan is here for the first time.
I think coming here was very important to remember and make sure that we keep up the struggle for freedom and for fairness and for liberation of human beings all over the world, which is what he has sparked.
McLennan feeling hopeful about the future.
Forward better and also hopefully forward together. Oftentimes, Black people are not listened to when they talk about their experiences, and that this contributes to that and hopefully will help lead to a place of solutions, and stopping this from happening again, I think, is a good thing.
Some community members I spoke with were not surprised by the DOJ findings, but still adding it was important for recognition and that it was another step in the right direction. Live in Minneapolis, Ben Henry, 5 Eyewitness News.
Obviously a big
on legislation, of course, that's the hard job, but little by little there have been some improvements, and we got a long way to go, but we will keep fighting. So the photo in the bottom right was 1 year after George, when U.S. Marshals literally ambushed Winston Smith in that parking lot. They were serving a warrant. They could have easily done so when he left the restaurant, but they waited until he went several blocks away, got into his vehicle, and then that old excuse when he pulled out his phone, it may have been a gun, and they literally played judge, jury, and executioner on the spot. And then 2 weeks into the nightly marches for Winston, it was actually a beautiful summer night. Some of the crowd said we need to lighten it up a bit. They were simply playing some games like red light, green light outside when a white supremacist literally accelerated his vehicle into the crowd, resulting in the death of one of our medics named Deanna Marie. So this is the spot where she passed, but this was actually her last Facebook post, which is obviously a statement of solidarity. If you don't mind, I'm gonna scoot through to this side. So this is Deanna's mom. Oh my God, this press conference was literally the same day. So her daughter got hit in the evening, but passed away in the middle of the night. So this was actually the same day that her daughter passed, that she was out there really just being a warrior on behalf of her daughter in the fight that she was standing up for. And that is the mother of Philando Castile. So some of you may have seen that live stream. His girlfriend was live streaming. Now the exposed reason why they were pulled over is because they had a broken taillight. That wasn't even true. And when he told the officers, you know, he just gave them the information, hey, I happen to have a lethal weapon, the officer shot him for absolutely no reason. That ex-officer is currently trying to become a public school teacher. I mean, that is just outrageous, right? And there was also a white guy who lived in their community who decided to do an experiment. He purposely knocked out his own taillights just to see how long it's going to be before he get pulled over. You know the pathetic truth. It's been, what, about 7 years yet now? And he has yet to be stopped. But what's even worse is that during that time, Mama Val has been pulled over how many times simply because she hasn't pulled down her handicap placard when leaving a parking spot. So the racial profiling in our police departments is just absolutely appalling. Here, King wanted to honor our local youth. They organized that rally for Elijah McClain, the autistic violinist in Colorado that police killed. It was said that as that young man was dying, he was literally telling police that he forgave them. I can't imagine his parents' grief. Oh my God. King did attend, excuse me, you're fine. He did attend George's funeral here in Minneapolis. Of course, George was later buried in Texas, and I'm sure you probably saw the mural up on the corner store. But if you take note, that is a shot of the original mural, and I'm sure that the original painters did not have bad intent, but you will see that George's features were really pronounced. So thankfully, he was repainted soon afterwards to look more realistic. However, the mural has also been defaced on more than one occasion. The worst instance was when a University of Minnesota medical student came down literally with a can of red spray paint, did several strokes through George's face, but thankfully there were community members outside who apprehended him and later on insisted that he be brought back down to the square to do restorative justice work. They really called him out. And on top of that, his fellow students held this rally to say, we don't quite see how he can be licensed in medicine with this attitude. In all actuality, this actually led to him being expelled from the university. So protesting can work. So this is Joshua Lopez. His uncle simply went outside 11 years ago to break up a street fight. What he didn't know is that one of the guys in the fight was an undercover officer who turned his weapon on Joshua's uncle, killing him. But later on, Joshua created this amazing solidarity fist tattoo using the names of stolen lives from around the country, including George, and I love it that he went back and honored Emmett Till as well. For those of you who are up front or can see the photo over there, if you look closely, these are all individual protest images that someone collected together to create this amazing mosaic of George. It is one of over 5,000 offerings that visitors have left in the square. This was less than a month later, but unfortunately, this beautiful piece ended up getting stolen before they brought it inside to archive. During the protests, if we did not disperse at curfew, this is what we were met with. Police randomly shot rubber bullets into the crowd. One man died of his head injuries. Obviously, these two men got hit in the head as well. There were two people that lost an eye, including Soren. The other one was a reporter from overseas who also went partially deaf just from the sound of the flashbang grenades. So you have to realize what a militarized zone it was. They were literally out there in Chinook and Black Hawk helicopters shooting projectiles. I mean, look at the tree line. Do you see how close they were to people on the street? And at night, they would shoot off so much of this military-grade tear gas that protesters would literally arrive with gallons of milk just to try to cool their eyes when they got hit with that stuff. So I'll just tell you two more stories. I know your time is short. In my opinion, this is $1 million waste of our taxpayer money. During the trial, they literally bombarded downtown buildings with gates and concrete barriers and barbed wire fence. But protesters would come and hang locks on those, oftentimes with beautiful messages, but even that, authorities did not want to bring attention to, and they literally cut them off every night. I'm assuming somebody in our community knew these were going to land in the garbage, yet they still took the care to crochet them. So for me, this is an absolute picture of love. And then lastly, as we were saying outside, the importance of our independent media. Here's another example. This was George Floyd's birthday, October 14th last year. This is our mayor in City Hall holding a proclamation that it would be George Floyd Day. These are members of the family who arrived from around the country to get their placards, yet there was not a single journalist there other than King, who knew about it from the family, which also smacks of the fact that although the city said they were going to honor George that day, they did not even have the decency to send out a press release. So I know that's a lot in just a few minutes, but we want people to really understand what we faced. You guys are probably visiting, so you didn't know, but today the DOJ actually was here from Washington holding a press conference. We know that the First and Fourth Amendments and several other things, especially with protesters, with media, during all of that chaos, they broke that. I mean, it's not news to anybody. We all know that the system is so corrupt, but you know, we got to keep calling them out and keep doing the work, right?
Thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm honored that, I've known King for quite a while. We've done a lot of work together. I'm honored that he trusts me to, represent his work fairly. If you did want to support him, we are trying to get the place next door. We're writing grants, but that's real hard because they don't like we're calling them out, right? But the photos are available. The small prints are 5. This size is 20. And he's done an amazing book, which we are using as a fundraiser. But if anybody had questions, you're welcome to ask.
What is your name, please?
My name is AJ.
AJ.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
you.
A gatekeeper?
Yeah.
Wow.
Gatekeeper keeping it down.
Yes.
So
reaction to the DOJ's findings. He joins us now from the newsroom with what he found out. Maury?
Well, the report brought out a range of emotions from skepticism to hope, especially at the site of the murder that sparked the DOJ's investigation. 38th in Chicago has become sacred ground for people to remember George Floyd. But the minds of many here are on a new report by the Department of Justice that says the Minneapolis Police Department created the culture that allowed his murder by former officer Derek Chauvin.
We have to have somebody tell us or demand that we treat everybody like a human being, that we treat each other with respect, and that we care. That makes me very disappointed.
Marcia Howard, who's been one of the lead activists at George Floyd Square, was brought to tears while reading the report.
I was emotional when I was reading about the treatment of 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds who were mistreated and maced. All we're saying is stop killing us. That's all we say.
But she wasn't surprised by the findings, given the long-standing problems communities of color have had with the department.
To be honest, it's saying what we've already been yelling from the rooftop and from this intersection, that we have been living under a terroristic regime of the MPD.
George Floyd's aunt, Angela Harrelson, wasn't surprised by the report either.
It became a police mafia. They were worse than gangs.
But she's optimistic the involvement of the federal government will lead to meaningful change.
This gives us hope. This inspires us that what we are saying is not in vain. My nephew's death is not in vain.
Still, others are skeptical the culture of the MPD can do an about-face anytime soon.
I hope we see real substantive change. But so often, it seems like just same old, same old. You keep getting what you used to get.
Now, many of the people we talk to say they'll be taking a wait-and-see approach, and it will take more than just paperwork to make real change. Karen?